Right. So everything's out. Mixed bag, right? Especially with the lost treasure. But there's still a lot of exciting stuff. I think gold packs are going to be a point of contention because they're definitely going to get crazy in terms of just. I think it's like 50, 75 bucks already. So that's already more than half the booster box, right? Think about that as you could sell the gold pack and then the gold pack most cases amounts to not really anything. Like the gold token, the Marvel rainbow foil stuff, that's all going to drop off immensely. Especially, I don't think a lot of people realize that they're on the promo wall, right? The cold foiled Marvel variants of the tokens. So yeah, we'll have to see where everything falls to. But on that, we have a lot of cards to look to. So I glossed over a lot of them, but everything requires multiple reads to really understand. I was just curious if anything has been updated on Fab's actual pages, but I don't think so. The database for Fab's a little bit wonky, so you can find the sets if you look for the sets, including the treasure pack. But for instance, if we open a card and we go just to high seas, right? This page does not work. So 265 cards, but this has not been updated since the world premiere. Am I wrong? I'm wrong. No, it has partially, but there's definitely stuff missing, right? Yeah, because there should be at least the rockhead in between. But if you just search for it manually, right, if you want to use Fab stuff, you can type in high seas, or the code is easier, C, right? Search it, and it'll bring up all the cards, although they are alphabetized rather than by number, which is a little bit unfortunate. So I think we are just going to stick to Fabry, right? A lot easier to look through. The Gravy Bones Armory deck cards are up by description, but not image yet, which makes sense. The images aren't up on Flesh and Blood, right? They've done the new cards minus some of the equipment, so I think everything but the arms is new. Chest gets heavily outranked, right, by Dread Threads. I think the boots are actually nice, right? I like pictures, but I suppose we'll read them. So, yeah. Headpiece. When it's defense, you may discard a card with Watery Graves. You do draw a card. Seems nice, right? Just cycle. Plus block, right? Might be his best in slot. I still kind of like gold, just to... Well, I mean, gold's essentially the same thing, but this is blocking as well, right? Destroy this... Just... Yeah. Try it again. I'm not gonna... Graven... Just corpse? Right? These are all... That's a straight pun. That's not a word, correct? Just... I'm having hard problems with these apparently. Destroy this, discard a card, gain resources equal to its pitch value, right? So you discard a red, gains one, right? Vice versa. So it is an interesting chess piece, right? Obviously the discard aspect feeds into gravy, but you're not really getting extra resources as opposed to Dread Threads, which is just, basically an extra resource every single turn. Washed Up, the arms appears in the set, so we'll go over that when we go over the sets. And then Breakwater, Undertow, attack reaction, destroy this target pirate ally. Attack, gets go again when the combat chain closes, destroy the ally. So that's bittersweet, right? Especially because you lose the equipment, you lose the ally, and you lose the boots. Yeah, I already said destroy this, right? But value-wise, 1, 1, 1. So, it's a fair amount of block, right? Feels like starter equipment, not necessarily, them trying to make Majestics a slot in between. But obviously he doesn't have a whole lot to work with. Other than that, the new cards are... Oh, there we are. Loot the arsenal, loot the hold, right? Along with the allies, but the allies, again, appear in the main set, so we'll go over them when we go over the main set. So, your next pirate ally attacks this... Next pirate ally attack this turn gets, when this hits a hero, destroy a card in their arsenal if you do create a gold token, or when this hits, discard a card if they do create a gold token. So, yeah, both are actually really, really strong effects, right? So think of this as just your normal Arsenal Disruption card, but you can plan around it. If they block out X allies, you've got one more swing, then you can play Loot the Arsenal or Loot the Hold and get that value. Especially the discard created gold, right? The fact that you're creating gold on these effects is really, really nice. So yeah, as rares, these are definitely going to be must-haves from the Armory deck, which, makes sense. We expected a decent chunk of must-haves from the actual Armory deck. Now, as for actual high seas, so we don't know the rates or anything, but we do have the full card list. So, sorry, let me figure out what I can get rid of. Get rid of that. I don't need the fab stuff. I guess the treasure packs. We'll look at the treasure pack quickly since there's only 81 cards. They're all on the same page, right? Okay. So, obviously, there's some really nice stuff in the treasure packs, right? Card pool is 81, not including the lost treasures, but the lost treasures appear, 1 in 1,000, so I wouldn't count them. Even the amulets, there's 9 amulets, so 900 amulets in total. One every booster pack, say it's a 250,000 booster display. I'm trying to work out the rough odds, right? Puts them at 1 in 277. So 1 in 250. So again, to me, I wouldn't class them as being relevant to the actual pool. So generally speaking, you're going to find Harpoons or you're going to find Puffin. And I hope you find a lot more Harpoons than you find Puffin, because at least Harpoons, well, technically you don't really need one more, because I don't think you put them in your deck, even though you can. I think they're solely there for the creation effect of Marlin, right? So the Marvels in the treasure pack aren't anything super crazy, right? Polly will probably just get flooded out, even if he is cool, right? Parrot friend. And then obviously the cold foils, bunch of jank equipment that's just left of what already exists, for instance, right? So Captain's Coat, destroy this, gain a resource. We've seen this many times over, just with all different conditions. This is if you've drawn a card, put a blue card from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck. It's kind of interesting. I don't like the discard aspect. I feel like this could have just been destroy this, put a blue card on the bottom of your deck. The bottom of your deck is already harsh enough. I'm curious to see if this finds any relevancy in limited, right? It's actually a headpiece you want for gravy. Anything of note, right? I mean, we can spiel about the pirate cards, right? So there's a bunch that interact with Treasure Island. There's a bunch that obviously are understated because they're for limited, so they have the pesky 2-block. So generally speaking, there's just a lot of meh in the treasure pack, unfortunately to me, right? And then even the cool stuff, the legendaries, not too excited. Like, for instance, the second mech one, the Cogworks Tinkerings. Yeah, it's cool to have an arms. It's a nice 2-block. But Golden Cogs to me also kind of dropped off. So Golden Cogs, unless I'm mistaken and I've missed it, the only card that actually interacts directly with a Golden Cog is Golden Skywarden. Everything else just cares about Cogs. So in essence, Golden Cogs don't have a premium over Copper Cogs. They're worse because they have less steam counters, right? And then, yeah, I mean, yeah, I can do this nice and quickly. Anything that references a Golden Cog, not Cog. So we have create Golden Cogs, but again, that's a way for LSS just to make it a 1-turn thing rather than a Cop Cog that has 2 steam counters. But nothing specifically wants Golden Cogs aside from Golden Skywarden, which kind of feels like a miss, because it felt like they should have had some sort of premium to them, right? More of these types of effects, right? And even the Galvanize in the set I dislike, because, well, again, you're just getting the cog out of it. That cog automatically loses steam count from its upkeep, so you're not getting any extra value out of that cog. It's still the same on any given turn, so you're just taking understated block to, I guess, cycle cogs and maintain a certain number of cogs. So overall, it's not bad, the Mechanologist package, especially moving away from boost, but it's just very middle to me, right? It's consistent, it's probably going to do well, but there's nothing super crazy in there, right? Even, for instance, the Cogtane or whatever people are calling it, right? Just one action point. You get to cycle it, which is fun. I really want to try out like Fatigue Nitro with Puffin, where you just fatigue out and then you just have Cog in the machine and a blue, and then you can just Nitro till you're out of resources and hopefully the opponent's dead, right? That seems kind of fun. But aside from that, Mech is, yeah, just decent. But, it gets overshadowed by everything else. So, yeah, the legendaries, God, they're going to be so skewed in terms of value. Anyway, card-wise, so, actually, what I am curious about, I do actually need this. We type in riches, because it should show us where it comes from, right? Is it not? Okay, apparently it doesn't like it. It exists in the card pool, yeah, but it doesn't like the word rich. What's the number? It is, of course, it's 000. Can you do specific cards? Interesting. Okay, I guess we do C, and then we do Rarity? Sorry, this is new to me, because obviously, majority we use February. Oh god, I'll just find it. This works. That is not high seas? Did I not click on high seas? I bet I didn't click on high seas. It is a R, so I assume it'd be near the, or somewhat on the last page. Nope, that's S. Oh, there it is. All that to find it's a rainbow foil. Either it's not updated, or unfortunately the cold foil is in the treasure pack. That's the other discrepancy, right? So we have this 52 number for the treasure packs, right? 52, 52. Then that gets cut down to 49, so 3 cards misplaced, which I guess one could be the riches in cold foil in the treasure pack. But I'm guessing it's just because it hasn't been pulled yet, right? I would assume it comes in both. Does Fabry know? Let's find out. Fabry thinks it only comes in a cold foil. Well, again, have to wait till the information settles. But, card-wise, right? So, yeah, the Fable, it's a generic. It creates a gold token. That seems really, really nice for every single person. So, joins the traditional first two, right? Before we got all the specific Fables. God, I'm trying to remember if there's any other that aren't specific. I don't know where my stack is, so, oh well. But, Mech and Cogs, right? So, where to start from? I guess the draft stuff. Tap a cog, destroy this, gain a resource, battle worn. I feel like battle worn should have been a bit more common on some of the equipment, because there's lots of nice effects that, again, have a condition that makes them worse than their traditional version. So, for instance, all the gain 1 resource, you compare it to Blossoming Spring, right, which is unconditional gain 1 resource. So to give it Blade Break feels meh. If you're going to slap on a condition on the resource, feels like Battle Worn would have been really, really nice, right? But aside from that, guess we just start reading, right? There's nothing else that really jumps out. I do want to read through everything, so might as well. Okay. Zoomed in enough. Is it legible? Hopefully it is. So, Golden Sky Warden. Galvanize. When this defends, you may destroy an item control. If you do this, gets +1. And I believe this is the only Galvanize card in the set that retains the benefit of gaining defense block, right? Everything else just creates more cogs. So, again, it's that lack of premium block, right? Lack of a 4 block in mech. But again, the idea of maintaining cogs and being aggro to mid range seems kind of nice, right? If you do, this gets +1. If golden cogs destroy this way, create a gold token, then repeat this process. So you can repeat this as many times as you have golden cogs and convert them back to gold. Adult heroes, haven't seen one pulled. What does the B mean? So it is basic, right? Which is basically the new way they're phrasing token for whatever reason. So a basic card is a token card, a B is a T, right? So all the adult heroes have been moved to the back of the pack, and they should be found on the flip side of certain cards. They should be a lot more common. It's interesting to hear that they're not, right? So, yeah. I don't know what cards are joined, in all honesty. I would have assumed that it goes weapon, adult, young, something like that. But they also like to, for draft reasons, go Ranger, Mech, Ranger, Necro, vice versa. So that way, the flip sides always line up. But they should be fairly common. They should be definitely a lot more common than the Majestic rarity. At least that's the hope, unless they're not, and then that still sucks. Jolly Bludger. When it stacks, you may tap a cog you control. If you do, this gets overpower. When it deals damage to a hero, steal that many items they control. So they've made a clear decision between certain cards, right? Where we have steal an item, and then we have steal gold specifically. And obviously the steal gold drops off, right? It's good for limited, it's good for the high seas hero meta, but aside from that, it does pale to items and the longevity of just steal an item. So I kind of wish there was a lot more cards that were steal an item rather than steal gold, since it's still applicable to stealing gold. But still a nice card. So I do like this thrice per turn, or essentially mech attack reactions, right? So you can pump this over your opponent's blocks and make sure it does its job. Or at the very least, you can fool your opponent to overblocking, because you have, 3 cogs on board, and they think, well, you can pump this, so I definitely have to give the extra card, right? And then you pivot. I don't know if there's enough go again to make that really, really worthwhile, but yeah, thrice per turn instant, tap cog, get +1. So a nice 2 for 8, right? As long as you have the cogs on board. As for the weapons, so we have our go wide and our go big, kind of, right? So easy enough to just tack Spitfire onto the end of a turn. So Cog works blunderbuss, pay 2, attack, right? And then instant you may tap a Cog you control. If you do this this card's next attack gets go again. So pay 2 for 2 with go again. But you also have to sack a Cog. I feel like it kind of needed a little bit more stats, right? Or maybe just be 1 resource. Feels a bit weak on that side, right? But I suppose you could also really run away with the game. But again, the whole pistol versus gun tag for mech also limits a lot of cheeky interactions. As for Spitfire, I do like this one a little bit more. So action, tap a cog, tap this and a cog you control to attack. Right, so it's basically a free 2 at the end of your sequence if you have the go against, which mech should potentially have the go against. And then when it stacks, you may tap a cog. So if you have an extra cog, this gets up to a 3. So an extra 0-3 to tack onto the end of a chain is definitely, to me, really nice, right? So yeah. Legendary Cog works Tinker Rings. When this defends, create a golden cog token, blade break with 2 blocks. So again, there's no premium for golden cogs, aside from the fact that, well, you can't gain the action point because it's your opponent's turn, so that doesn't matter, right? And then, again, the Steam counter. You lose the Steam counter straight away at the start of your turn. So you get a vanilla golden cog, which, again, feeds into everything. It's basically a +1, so this is an arms that does block 2 and give you a +1, essentially, which is definitely nice. But, I don't know. It gets outshined by the other legendaries, and, they're a bit more dynamicism, right? Like Polly interacting with Puffin specifically, or Sea Lace just being nuts for going in that little bit wider as Ranger. Rust Belts, instant tap a cog you control, destroy this, gain a resource, battle worn 1. So again, I like this over, again, Blossoming Spring. Something like that has a condition, but then also has the block value. A Unicycle, instant destroy this, untap a cog you control. Also going to be nice, right? So that can translate to a go again, that can translate to a +1, which is just really, really good, right? Or translates to a 2 in the case of Spitfire, right? Or a go again to cost 2 in the case of Blunderbuss, right? So yeah, the cog flexibility is something I think mech will really do well with, right? Just adds that little bit of flavor and flexibility to, again, their sort of one-dimensional game, which is just, well, we're getting control and we're getting fatigue, especially as we move away from boost, but generally speaking, it's just, vanilla aggro as opposed to all the other fancy stuff that we are sort of seeing from other classes. Cogworks Dovetail. When this hits a hero, untap all cogs you control. So it has to hit a hero. You can't just swing this into an ally, right, and then get insane cog value, unfortunately, right? So thought was put in, unfortunately. Thrice put an instant, tap a cog you controlled, gave this +1 or go again. So, it's a 1/7 potentially with go again, which is kind of nice, right? And then you get all the cogs back. So if it goes over the top of your opponent, right? Again, the fact that we're outside of boost means you can take a lot of nice other go again extenders now, so that you can still get this to an 8, make it awkward, right? And then still give it go again, still get your cogs back to go into something else. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the turns that mech can line up. Again, it seems like good, consistent value. Planetaire Aeronauts. Defending hero must defend this with an equipment they control Fable. Thrice put an instant, destroy a cog control for the +1. And then if it's the third time, this gets a shred effect. Shred? No, not shred. Well, essentially shred, but also destroy. So this can be used to A, destroy equipment, which is nice than, say, T-Bone, because T-Bone, gets blocked out by functional but 0 block equipment that you can now, again, destroy. So your opponent has to think a little bit more about what equipment they send into it, or generally just for the damage, right? A -3 to your opponent's block value. Definitely nice, right? So yeah, you really want to stack up to 3 cogs. So I don't think you can do that just off of Golden Cogs and Puffin's ability, again, because they only have 1 Steam counter. But Copper Cogs do come in. Cog in the Machine. Create 2 Golden Cog tokens. You may tap a cog you control. If you do, put this on the bottom of its owner's deck. So the interaction there that piques my interest is it bottoms before you resolve your pitch stack, right? So this will always be on top of the cards you pitched. So in Fatigue, if you could empty your hand, right, you can ensure that you redraw it. And then you get the action point, you get the golden cogs to feed into other thing. There's a lot of interesting functionality, right? Obviously, it's nowhere near as good as High Octane, though. So, yeah, it's just one action point, but it is reusable, which then can lend itself to other things. Plus, it's essentially 2 stats of value, right, with the golden cogs. One if you tap one to recycle it, but, saving your card is also good. Cogworks Workshop, create a golden cog, put a Steam counter on up to 2 cogs you control. So this is one of our extenders. I feel like it could have been fine as a 0. Maybe just 1 Steam counter in that case. I think you want to feed all your resources into these other things that potentially just doesn't line up well enough. But it's a Majestic, so there's hope, right? Plus 3 block. Cloud City Steamboats. When this hits a hero, you may tap a cog you control. If you do put a Steam counter on a different cog that you control, well, I suppose you can put it on the same cog you control. So, yeah. Extender. And it's tucked behind the hit effect, unfortunately. And it only has a double pump, so it's a 2 for 8, right? The extender does seem like it really matters, though. So it makes me really, really excited for Banksy, right? Because Banksy obviously does the perfect job of extending the cogs, and I believe Banksy is just on hit. It's not hero, right? Right, please. No, it's hit a hero. Never mind. I was gonna say it just feasts on Gravy Bones and allies, but it is hit a hero, unfortunately. But yeah, using that to extend cogs as opposed to hyperdrivers, I think I definitely value the, again, possible +1 or go again over the resources, right? You can definitely get away with not having resources, especially if you're using Max's ability to feed into it, right? And it doesn't really, you're preserving resources, but you're not profiting resources. I was expecting more action point generation, like one other card, similar to Cog in the Machine, right? Where it's just one, but again, it's tucked behind having to find it. So, yeah, definitely not as explosive as the high octane turns, but Cog in the Machine will do its job, right? Cogworks Zeppelin. When this hits hero, you may tap a cog you control. If you do, you get to create a different cog, right? A token, golden cog. So, yeah. Same stat line as the Steamboat? Yeah, 2 for 8. So 2 for 8 with 2 cogs, plus nets another cog. So it does cost 3 cogs in that sense, and I like the Steam counter more since that extends past a turn. But, it being 6 and then pumped with 1 to a 7, you might do the job. Pop cog, unlimited, crank, and then enters with 2 Steam counters. And then at start your turn, you must remove a Steam counter. If you can't, you destroy this, right? So, how many do you take? Is the big question, right? I feel like 9 to 12 is where I'm at currently, but so I have to sit down and probably build a deck rather than just going for gimmicky things. And then lubricates. 0, untap up to 3 cogs you control. Acknowledge instant. So yeah, the interesting part about that is obviously now you can bluff, right? So you only have 2 cogs, 1 tapped, or you only have 2 cogs in general, right? You play one of the ones that are thrice per instant, and then you tap 2, your opponent thinks you're fine, and then you lubricate, and you tap more, right? So yeah, almost feels like this could have been a Majestic instead. Because I feel like this can definitely see potential play, right? Especially with, Spitfire, or even, I guess, to some extent, the Blunderbuss. Because, yeah, cogs just have some nice value here, right? When spends, you may tap a cog control if you do create a golden cog. So, good. Remember, they don't untap till the end of your turn, so they don't untap at your opponent's turn. But you can then use the cog you create since that enters untapped. So, it's just straight value minus the Steam counter. So, in the sense of you're going to lose a cog, you might as well tap it to create a cog. Right, plus 3 block blue. Yeah, decent. Cloud Scurf. Once per turn instant, tap cog you control. This gets +1 or go again. So that matches Sky Simmer, yeah, as just our vanilla line. So 1 for 5 or 0 for 4. That can then turn into a 0 for 5 or a 1 for 6 or get the go again. I definitely like it more than boosting, right? So just 1 for 1. This instead of zipper hit. Teeth in the cog. Teeth of the cog. Galvanize. When this spends, you may destroy an item control if you do create a golden cog token. So again, it's 2 block, which I think just harshes it. I feel like they could have been 3 blocks and then sell the destroy an item to extend your cogs. Oh well. When this spends, you may destroy an item control if you do create a golden cog. So same sort of thing. So just vanilla cards to extend your cog play, right? And make sure that you can maintain 3 for all your effects, or probably more than 3. Gold Wing. Yeah, Gold Wing Turbine. Your next mech knowledge attack this turn gets +3. Create a golden cog. God. let me take a moment to breathe. It's 2 costs, so I hate it. I don't know why it's not 4 like the other ones. I get that the golden cog is a premium, and golden cog for puffin, yes, is similar to a 2 cost since you're trading in the gold, but I don't know. It feels very understated. I suppose in limited draft, right, where resources are a bit more plentiful, your turns don't line up as well as you could. A +3 golden cog onto something is definitely nice, right? But what we love about all of these is they are just mechanologist attack, right? They work with the weapons, they work with any attack. It's not next time you boost, next time an attack is boost, next attack that boosts. It is any attack, right? But the good string, even though they're only 2 block, right? Next Mechanology attack gets +4 for a 1, and then you may untap a gun, a hero, or a cog, depending on which of the 3 we take, right? So I do like them all. Maybe the hero one a bit less, because I don't know if Puffin really needs it. Although there is a lot more gold generation than what I was thinking, so it might actually be decent, right, to get more golden cogs in a single turn. And then, yeah, just a 1 for 4, so online for stats, but, 2 block, replaces Gigawatt. So yeah, it'll see use, it'll see play, especially the cog one in say max. And of course, golden cog, they're all just vanilla crank items, right? 1 steam counter, so at max it lasts 2 turns unless you feed it more steam counters. Then for gravy bones, so no weapon and no weapon in the armory deck either. So I don't know. Obviously the Gogan is huge, so this can't really go away. But what do they do? Do they design something if he's a bit understated? Because it feels like the big question is whether or not he's quick enough, fast constructed, right, to set up a board for you to not have a value beat stick. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So the main thought from people that I've seen is it's offhand, so obviously you can't take another offhand item with it rather than it just being main hand. But I feel like he's missing his saber, right? Washed up wave, common, pirate, necromancer equipment. When this depends, you may discard a card or destroy the top card of your deck. If a card has Watery Grave, this gets +2. So you can discard a card with Watery Grave, or you can chance it, although you can also use Compass. Well, you can't really. No, you can use Compass because it's an instant. Yeah, so you can use Compass to try and line up this effect, right? So, yeah, 2 block, plus then also just fulfilling Gravy Bones, get it into the graveyard, right? I think you generally just want to hit the deck. Blood in the Water, same effect, but on a defense reaction. So 0-4, bit better than the mech one, feeding into it, right? And again, you get to destroy the top of your deck or discard a card, right? So yeah, it feels like that won't be as big of a chance as people might think, right? And if you miss, it's not the end of the world. It's still a 4 block, right? But it being pumped to a 6 is definitely nice. Chart the high seas, look at the top 2 cards of your deck. You may pitch a blue card from among them, put the rest into your graveyard. Create a gold token for each yellow card put into your graveyard this way. Go again. So you can only pinch once, as I've learned, unfortunately. So it's not 6 value like Give No Quarter, but 3 and a gold token makes it just basically a gain 1 resource. 2 gold tokens, still nice. You can feed it into Gravy Bones. And yeah, it enters the graveyard. It's a blue. Activates Gravy Bones. I like Gravy Bones as majestic. They all feel like they are must-haves. Well, maybe not Waylon to some extent, if he's a bit too costly. Then Give No Quarter. Next 2 ally cards with Water Gravy plays turn cost 3 less to play. So this is, again, essentially 6 value, right? Whether or not you can squeeze that out, depending on the allies you have. Sometimes they'll amount to less. But generally speaking, you will get its pitch value out of it pretty easily, right? So, yeah, Give No Quarter is definitely a must-have. Chum is instant, discard a card, Water Grave until the end of turn. Opponents must choose this as the target if able. So, right, similar to Arclight Sentinel, but it doesn't break the chain. They still get their hit effects as well. If it doesn't specify that has to hit a hero. But still a nice, decent tanker. Moray Lefay, Eel Lady. Pay 1, tap, put a counter on target ally. It's whether or not you get to that floating resource, but, with Dread Threads, seems like this will be easy enough, right? Again, you can... It seems decent on your opponent's turn, if need be. Dread Threads, I'm saying, not her, right? So just having it on board and getting those counters could be decent value. We'll have to see, right? Again, the biggest issue currently with Gravy Bones, and I don't want to wrap my head around it with it, I will wait until someone else does, is which allies do you take? Because there are so many allies, right? Whaler Humperdick, just a nice big beat stick, 6 cost, and then 6 to swing for 11. Big boy. Can definitely do damage, right? he's your weapon. You get him out early enough, and he's just your nice big summit that has a ton more weight behind it. Board the ship. When this stacks, you may tap an ally control. This gets overpower, paddle faster, go again, or hoist them up a +1 to its block, right? So, yeah, the use of allies, because there is some go again, right? I don't think there's enough for the extent of the board that you can set up. So having these alternative uses is definitely nice, right? Avasti, speaking of the go again. Next pirate ally attack this turn gets go again, and when this hits hero, create a gold token. So the fact that it's just an extender for your onboard weapons, essentially, right, makes it a really good card. So yeah, really nice rare. Heave Ho gains overpower, and the same effect, create a gold token. So generally speaking, right, these are your pitchables that then become your payoff cards, where now you're just set up with your allies, so you're playing them, and you go again, overpower, something like that, right? So they are really nice cards, and obviously they had to hit a home run with all the cards coming out of it, even the limited stuff, right? Because it all has to be a bit more applicable, since there's not a fallback pile of commons or rares to use with Necromancer. So they've done that, right? Which is good. Yo-ho-ho, the next pirate ally attack gets +1, and when this hits, create a gold token. So nice blue +1, right? Kelby, instant, tap this, pay 1, and then tap a target hero or ally, go again, right? So shuts off, obviously it only interacts with the High Seas heroes currently, or the High Seas allies, since, tap's not rolled out for say, the dragons, for Dromai, or anything like that, right? So definitely a bit more niche, definitely one for the sideboard. Limpet, hop along, our go again swinger, right? So 0 cost, and then 1 for 2 go again. So nice weapon, right? Scooby, pay 3 to attack, but when it stacks, you may put a yellow card from your graveyard on the bottom of its owner's deck. If you do, create a gold token, so that allows you to cycle something, right? Endlessly. Well, not endlessly, but as long as he's around, plus you get the gold token. So Scooby feels like a priority to try and get out, and a priority for your opponent to shut down, because then the gold just feeding into Gravy Bones filtering. Seems really good. Angry Bones. When this attacks, you may discard a card or destroy the top of your deck. If that card is Watery Grave, this gets +1. So 2 for 7. It's fair. Again, it might just be taken simply because it feeds into, again, trying to really set up your graveyard nice and quickly. Burly Bones. When it stacks, do the same thing, but you gain overpower, right? So 2 for 6 with overpower, but again, feeding into finding the right cards, right? Again, all these cards to me, I doubt you take the -1, because then, you're paying 2, plus you're losing probably a 2 to a 3 pitch, right? So most likely you just hit the top of your deck, and you try and obviously line it up with your compass, right? I can see probably the blue's being taken, same sort of clause, right? It's either a pitchable, or if compass lands, then you go with it. Something like that. Jittery Bones, when it stacks, you may discard a card, and then this does go again. So this is the nice one to me, especially since it's on the 0-4 stat line, right? So blue, 0-2, potential go again, that then feeds into Gravy Bones' game plan. Restless Bones, when it stacks, do the same thing. If the card is Watery Grave, it gets go again. So same stat line, but now 2 for 6s. So yeah, I like them and their package. Barnacle, attack, just a stat stick, right? 0-4 once he's in play. Seems good. Seems like a nice weapon to have. Chowder, Hardy Cook, instant, gain 1 life. Seems like a big threat for your opponent, since, again, just every 2 turns gain a life unless your opponent shuts it down. That's decent value. To me, at least. Cuddy Shark, quick clip. Next ally attack this turn gets +1, go again. You have to pay 1. It's not permanent like our Moray Eel. So, I don't know. I don't know if I like him so much, right? Maybe it was a bit easier to get out, 0 cost, like her. But yeah, still a 1 for 3 with an okay effect, especially, or maybe if it was an instant and still a tap effect, and you could get that +1 to go over the top of something. But yeah, it's a common ally. Rigor Mortis, action, pay 1, tap, attack for 6, so 1, then sets up for a 1 for 6. So again, just nice stat lines for weapons that are semi-permanent. Think of it, all this stuff being like Teleshare, right, where it's good until it's gone. Shelly, Hardened Traveler. Instant tap, next attack action card you defend with this turn gets +1. So, decent value there as well. Again, it requires how much is going into the deck. How much is utility to set up the allies, and then how much are you actually using to swing, right? Whether or not she's going to be decent. Swappy, 3, and then a 2 for 7, so bigger stat line weapon. And then Dread Threads as a legendary. Beautiful card, right? Design and functionality and look, right? Instant tap, gain a resource, activate this only if an ally has been put in your graveyard this turn. So that's discard, that's any of the effects that resolve, that's your opponent getting rid of them, right? And then just a free resource. So again, tap mechanic, so it's every other turn because of untapping only being on your turn, but you can trigger it on either yours or your opponent's turn. So yeah, definitely outvalues Tunic crazily. Headstone, instant, destroy this, destroy the top card of your deck, battle worn. Yeah, obviously, probably gets outcompeted pretty easily, but will be fun for limited, right? Especially when you hit a cheeky card, right? An ally, put it in the graveyard, and you get the block. So, it's not all bad. It's also a Necromancer card, right? Both these are our soul-only Necromancer cards. So, good to see who else we get, right? Marlin and her Harpoon. So, King Kraken Harpoon, right? King Shark Harpoon, and then all the blue fin, yellow fin, red fin. They all have the Go Fish mechanic. I think they're the only 5, right? No other Harpoon has it. If there is any. I know there's the Rusty one, right? Along with the Golden Harpoon. They're pirate cards, why I'm going so far. Yeah, so they're the only ones with Go Fish, but Go Fish is still a pretty debilitating effect, especially if you are taking the Harpoon Cannon. So opponent reveals a card from their hand. If it's a specific card, they discard it, and you get a gold token. Then if you've activated your cannon, you get to look at the hand, and you get to choose the card. So yeah, it can definitely be debilitating, especially the big 2, right? The blue ones, maybe not, but still they're nice big blue arrows to stick in a deck that probably wants a lot of blues. Not to mention then Sea Lace Sarong, right? So you can see double Harpoon turns with them, right? And whether or not the Go Fish triggers, still just a nice big turn. Rusty Harpoon. Blue, 0, 1, 3. And then the Goldfin Harpoon, 0, 2. So usually arrows are overstated because you have to get them to the arsenal with the lack of go again, right? So kind of wish this was a 2 and a 3, but the Goldfin Harpoon being generatable, I guess that's the idea, but then it's also not able to pitch, right? Rusty Harpoon just being a blue arrow, maybe. Being a blue harpoon, I mean, maybe. For everyone else, there's a whole slew of better blue arrows to fall back on, right? For Sea Lace Sarong shenanigans. Speaking of it, so tap, turn a blue arrow in your arsenal face up. It gets go again this turn, right? So you have to have a card face down, which means you have to either... Is reload face up? I can't remember. You have to arsenal end of turn. You can't use it with Marlin's effects. Riptide gets decent use out of it. Reload is face down. So yeah, reload or Riptide or arsenal end of turn, right? To utilize it, but yeah, just being an extender rather than saying sinking the card with Trench for the resource seems nice, right? Extra blue that just hopefully yonks a card or maybe has a debilitating effect, so your opponent has to give the card. There's a decent amount of debilitating blues, right? That, again, you don't care so much about the stat line because it's just about presenting it before you actually go into your proper turn. So Sea Lace Sarong is definitely going to do things. Patch the Hole. Destroy this, return a card from your arsenal to your hand. So nice amount of avoidance, right? It's very, very tempting, in all honesty. Because that's a big swing turn when your opponent's trying to destroy your arsenal, and then all of a sudden it's back in your hand, and then you just let rip a nice big turn. But obviously 0 block, and then we have New Horizon, we have Opting, so probably not, but still, it seems like a really, really fun card, right? And just the threat of it on board as well, your opponent looking at it, do I send the Arsenal card? They just got destroyed, I don't want to go lack value, right? A lot of interesting choices surrounding it. Glide Well Fins. Action, pay 1, destroy this, put an arrow card from your hand face up into your arsenal. It gets +1 this turn. Now I have to look at Bullseye, right? Is it just a worse version? Better version? Bullseye's is free. You have to have no cards in your arsenal. And it's Arcane Barrier. You get the Battle Worn. This works with New Horizon. But, it's also the type of thing where you don't necessarily need it. I guess it's just the block version of Bullseye. Feels like maybe it could have done without the pay 1. Then I guess they would have had to slap the condition onto it. I mean, Bullseye still see play. The other arms is Sharpshooter, but there's nothing in here that deals with aim, so probably Glide Fins. Barbed Barrage. As additional cost to play this, you may pay 3. If you do, this attacks an additional target, right? So hit 2 allies, hit an ally and your opponents, right? So I believe it's a duplication effect, right? So any buffs or anything that you've stuck on Barbed Barrage does appear on itself because it's attacking an additional target. It's not, you may, what would the wording be? An additional time, so it's a separate event, right? That makes sense. So, yeah, can be a very disgusting card with the right pumps, right? Return Fire, probably the standout card for Ranger in the set, right? A nice 4-block. When this events, you may banish an arrow from your hand. If you do, at the start of your turn, put face up into your arsenal. It gets +3. So yeah, pump and block. Definitely gonna see a lot of play, right? Drop the anchor. The next arrow attack this turn gets +3, and when this hits hero, tap them and all allies they control. So that is definitely nice deck tech, right? 0 +3. Destroy your opponent's board, right? Well, not destroy it, but you get what I mean. So as Gravy, they can't do anything for their turn because they don't tap till the end of their turn. So yeah, definitely can be devastating. Fire in the hole. Next arrow attack turn gets +3. You may untap a bow you control, which currently only matters for the 2 new bows, right? The Red Spine Manta and our Hammerhead Harpoon Cannon. I want to at least go for the double pump, right? But it's probably not worthwhile. The Red Spine Manta is interesting, especially once a Death Dealer goes. Put an arrow from your hand face up into your arsenal. Is it worth doing that twice? Probably not. You probably still just take Dreadbore for the safety, right? Monkey Powder. The next arrow attack's turn gets +1 and overpower. Costs 3, but then you get to draw a card. There's so much blue going on in this set, right? So I feel like this is absolutely fine. So cycle +1 and overpower seems okay, right? Hook. Look at the top card of your deck. Are they all the same? Can I read them in unison? I can. Right. You may put an arrow face up into your arsenal. Gets +1. It gets go again, or it gets overpower. So the go again is always the nice thing, right? Again, this goes back to where opting will be nice, right? They are 3 blocks, so Azalea will have a field day with them for as long as she lasts, right? She's definitely gonna speed away quickly. Hopefully, some games with Death Dealer as Marlin. Dry powder shots, when it's in your arsenal face up, this gets +2, so similar to a headshot, right? But that's put in your arsenal. This is just, no, they are both put, right? So, yeah, basically identical, except, again, the lower stat line. Entangling shots, and you may put this into your arsenal. Sorry, there. Already getting tongue-tied. We're a third through. Entangling shots, half through, probably. When it's put face up into your arsenal, you may tap a target hero. Again, only matters for ICs, but should be fun in limited. And then when it's put into your arsenal face up, tap a target ally. Same sort of thing, mainly for ICs. But again, all these cards, as we continue to get sets, because they have said that tapping will continue going forward, obviously they will be more and more impactful, right? Because we'll have more things to target with the tap ability. So essentially exhausting your opponents, right? If that's just how all new heroes are going to be handled, will definitely be good. Scouting shots, when this put your arsenal face up, you may look at the top card of your deck to then line up some other things. Swift shots, put your arsenal face up, this gets go again. So 0-4 go again arrow is definitely nice, right? Headshots, seen it. Double shot, seen it. Signal shot, seen it, right? Go on the big guns. The next arrow attack this turn gets +3, and then you may put an arrow from your hand face up into your arsenal. So a pump and a load, definitely nice, right? Scurvy and his sticky fingers. Again, I hope we see an add-on. Sorry, Scurv. Reads like a play on, so I want to say it as Scurvy. But action, tap, destroy gold you control, create a Gold Kiss Rum token, go again, and then whenever you activate a Gold Kiss Rum, you get +1 resource. Sorry, I want to read, because I know it's part of the activation cost, isn't it? The tapping. Yeah, it is. Because I was wondering if you could pop Gold Kiss Rum, but then fail it, right? And still get the resource. But still +1 and a go again to something, so yeah, he's got a really nice effect. In my eyes at least, so I'd like to see him as an adult. And then Sticky Fingers, so action, tap, attack, It's perched, so it can't be targeted till it's on board unless you're using a card that specifically targets something, right? And then when this attacks, steal a gold token they control. Again, it's where I wish it would have been an item, right? If it was steal an item they control, super applicable for a wider range of games, but still nice, right? Gold-baited hook, another standout legendary. Definitely best in slot for gravy. Just wants the gold to filter. Action, tap, your next pirate attack plus. Out of all of them, right? Think about it like this. For Puffin, we have not that many pirate attacks, aside from strictly pirate cards. For Marlin, you have to be in Harpoons, but for Gravy, pirate attacks are his whole shtick, right? So he has by far the most interaction with, or at least the easier interaction with Gold-Bladed Hook. Steal gold token they control, otherwise create a gold token. Then at the beginning of your end phase, if you haven't created or stolen a gold this turn, destroy this, go again, plus battle one, right? So this is basically your gold generator, which again works well in Scurvy. That then translates to Gold Gets Rum, which then translates to a +1 and a go again and a resource. Where do I get the +1 from? So, really nice, right? Our string of pre-release cold foils, right? So our Blue Sea Tricorn, Buccaneers, Bounty, Fish Fingers, and Peg Leg. Pay 3, draw a card, see no on other stuff. Destroy this, gain a resource, see no on other stuff. Your next attack this turn gets +1, see no on other stuff. Same with Peg Leg. Yeah. But no, Peg Leg's actually new, right? All the other specific attacks, Snapdragon Scalers, Fleetfoot Sandals, they have conditions. Whereas this is strictly pay 3, but it does the same thing as like Time Skippers, and all of them are destroyed. So it's either the Blade Break value or their actual functional value. But still, they'll be really nice to have as set equipment for limited. Conqueror of the High Seas. When this hits a hero, destroy all cards in their arsenal and create a gold token for each card destroyed this way. And then High Tide, right? The key word is essentially, as long as there are more than 2 blue cards in your pitch zone, this gets something, right? In this case, it gets +1 and go again. So arsenal disruption, that can be an 8 with go again, right? I think we all know how crazy this card is. It's going to be the standout one from the treasure packs, definitely. Loan Shark, go again. When this enters the arena, create 2 gold tokens at the beginning of your end phase. If you haven't created or stolen a gold token this turn, no, just a gold this turn, destroy this, then lose 2 unless you discard a card. I think everyone's just going to take the loss to life, right, rather than discard. Well, maybe you have enough cards to do it, but yeah, the 2 gold definitely feeds into a lot of people's game plans. Plus it's yellow, plus it's 3 blocks, so definitely nice. Definitely the Pirate Majestics are fairly decent. Tip the Barkeep, create a Gold Kiss Rum, which is just a free extender for anything, it's just action. You may give a gold token control if you do put this on the bottom of its own deck, so you can cycle it at the cost of giving your opponent gold, but it's just as a freebie go again, right? Again, for anything, I think that's fairly nice. Blue, pitchable, 3 block. Right? Sunken Treasure, when this defends, you may turn a card in a graveyard face down. If it's yellow, create a gold token. So your opponent can't target it. They can't fetch it back from the graveyard if it's face down. So Sunken Treasure is pretty nice deck, right? Whole string of ships. So we have when this hits, destroy an ally. When this hits, destroy an item. And when this hits, destroy the top card of their deck, right? So they're sort of middle ground, right? High Tide, 2 or more blues. This gets +1 overpower, right, for all 3 of them. So definitely nice. Scurvy obviously wants them, but I think for everyone else, it may fall off a little bit, right? Again, depending on the matchup, you may want some of those effects, but, Contract, surprise, surprise, doesn't do well. Destroy the top card of your deck and not impacting them straight away. Not fantastic, not that fantastic. And then also, Serpent's of Gravy, you could be helping his game plan. Murderous Rabble, on the other hand. When this attacks reveal the top card of your deck, it gets +X, where X is the pitch value. So basically, blue Ravenous Rabble, right? So 3 go again, definitely nice. Pilfer the Weak. Pilfer the Wreck. When it's hits hero, you may turn a card in the graveyard face down. If it's yellow, create a gold token. So same sort of thing as the block, but on an attack. Is there a 2 stat line version? I wish there was a 2 stat line version, right? 2 block again, kind of harms it, but, still a decent effect. Saltwater Swell. When this attacks reveal the top card of your deck, if it's blue, you get to pitch it, which is definitely really, really nice, right? So, yeah. Hit a blue, it's pitched. Wish this was generic. Or, again, I go back to, I wish Melody was a pirate, right? Because so many of these cards just synergize so well with what she wants to do. But, yeah. A 1 with go again, that potentially nets you more resources. They're going to like it. I'm kind of glad for all other cards that they've got people who are running so many minions on Teleshare. It was getting irritating. It was giving me Dromai flashbacks. But do you think people will pivot to them? I mean, it feels like allies are still just the game plan because you have to kind of have to build around them, right? Because you need the setup and the payoff for them. Well, I'd be interested to see like an aggro gravy, just taking the smaller minions, but then taking the high value pirate stuff. We'll have to see. Divvy up. I think these are the Treasure Island cards, or some of them at least. Move half the gold counts from Treasure Island, rounded up. If they are, if you're a thief, instead remove them all. Create gold tokens equal to the number of gold counts removed this way. So I really wish that all the specific draft limited interactions weren't in the treasure pack. Right? I think there's 7 that are solely Treasure Island based, like Divvy Up, where it will do nothing in every other circumstance. Right, and then there's a few that interact with it side by side. But yeah, they're going to be the real feel bad cards to pull out of the treasure packs, unfortunately. Portside Exchange. Discard a card, then draw a card. If it's yellow, if a yellow card is discarded this way, create a gold token, go again. So, Gravy loves it. Everyone else kind of likes it. A lot of the attacks facilitates card mechanic. I think he's incentivized to use them. But they're also hit the top deck, right? Well, I suppose you can discard from hand. I feel like that's always bad value. So you have to really line it up. So you do want them, but it doesn't feel like you want a ton of them. And again, in my opinion, you take the blues, and then once you have everything you need, then you pivot back to just going for ally nightmare board shenanigans. Well, the images aren't up, but we'll take another look at the Gravy Bones Armory deck because that gives us a decent feel of how LSS thinks he should be run. Sea Floor Salvage. Turn a card in a graveyard face down. If it's yellow, create a gold token. So again, that nice interaction. Potential gold token. Drop the deck, destroy the top card of target hero's deck. If it's yellow, create a gold token. At least that's better payoff than Contract. God, Contract feels so shafted. Essentially, everything they've ever done with copper and silver just feels so shafted, right? With the fact that they've blent so heavily into gold. So you had heavy hitters reprise all the copper stuff to gold, and that huge difference. Now you have basically all this interaction going gold instead of silver. Which is weird, because to me, silver should be what they always leaned in on, right? The idea that you can stack up enough gold and then just profit cards seems erroneous. And it's not that hard to do, especially with, say, deja vu potions and yellows and blues, right? You can then pivot and find all the specific cards you want. You can do combo shenanigans. Shifting Tide. Go again. At the start of your turn, pitch the top card of your deck. If it's blue, put this on the bottom of its other... Yeah. Put on the bottom of your deck, otherwise destroy this. So, very, very interesting card. Right? An aggro Poppin, who's in red and yellow or something. We just take 3 Shifting Tides, and then all of a sudden Shifting Tides is just an aura that generates you 1 to 2 resources a turn. It's kind of crazy, right? I really like it. In the sense of the shenanigans. Plus it's 3 blocks, so there's no downside to taking it. Potentially, right? It's an unending source of resources. Not so fast. A Scurv specialization. Next time opponent would draw a card from the effect of a gold token. This turn instead you draw a card. I kind of wish that was a bit more in line with the really, really gross ally for Necromancer. We'll skip ahead because he is just disgusting. So discard a card with Watery Graves the next time an opponent draws 1 or more cards. This turn, not action phase, this turn, they discard a card. Right? So that's a minus to their end of turn. That's disgusting. So yeah, if Scope was like that, his outside of limited play, it definitely goes way up. But still, the yoinking a gold effect is definitely nice. Obviously, maybe a bit too variable. Taking a proper blitz deck, right? If there's just not enough gold. Granted, though, you're hitting the heavy hitters heroes, you're hitting high seas heroes. We get Dromai back. There's a chance you can yoink her gold, because I assume she still wants to be royal. Throw caution. Although, I have a feeling if they do remake Dromai, they're just going to give her a royal anyway. Throw Caution of the Wind, reveal the top card of your deck the next time you'll be dealt damage this turn for an X, where X is the pitch value of the card. So again, more incentive for taking blues and payoffs, right? Lost in Transit, when it's defends, you may remove a gold counter from Treasure Island. If you're a thief, you get to create a gold token. More high tide cards, right? So big 4 for 7s that then become 9s. Yeah, plus the 3 block. So far, this is just the standout high tide card. The Expeditions, all when it's attacked, put a gold counter on Treasure Island. Fun for limited. Bad for again, being pulled out of the treasure packs. Golden Tipple. When it's attacked, you may discard a yellow card. If you do, draw a card and create a gold token. So, better trade-in? No, but it's 1 cost. Alright trade-in. You have to specifically hit a yellow, but you do get the gold, so that's nice. Pitch blue into it, and it's self-cycling in that sense. Also has the inbuilt Gorgon. The expectation is a definite yes. That she still uses the dragons, right? Basically, because every time she's brought up, the saying is, the dragons will soar again. Was the most recent one, right? So she should, and I have a feeling they wouldn't disappoint, considering those are the first big set of marvels for everyone. But obviously, you compare it to Prism. Prism got a full-fledged angel pigment, design, right? Moving away from just heralds, but that didn't really impact what already existed. It just added onto it. So, yeah, she's meant to return at some point. At this point, and yes, she should use her dragons. So, if you're interested in them, pick them up while they're cheap, right? Still, they're pretty cards to look at anyway. I think I'm still missing a few as well. Gold Hunter Lightsaber. When stacks, if you control less gold than an opponent, this gets go again. So generally speaking, it is. Is it a yellow? What is a yellow? Interesting. Specifically speaking, it is full limited, but there's some fun interactions like with the Tip of the Barkeep, where again you're playing an opponent that doesn't run gold, and all of a sudden you can give them gold, and then you can use this, right? So there are functional ways to use these cards, but again they're on the common stat line, so they have the poor block value. So what it is. Gold Hunter Longboats. If you control less gold, +2. Control less gold, overpower. Control less gold. This costs 2 less to play. So 2, 4, 7. That's interesting. No, it's not. That's fair. Never mind. Swift Water Sloop. Slop. It's whatever that boat is. So forgive me. High Tide, if there are 2 more blues, this gets to go again. So that's definitely nice, right? Especially because it fits with the other High Tide cards. So you go nice big 4 into this as a free go again. Then into something else, weapon, close out your turn. That's potentially an 8 into a 6, right? So I do like this one as High Tide. Again, the 2 block value. Does it decent harm though. Swindler's Grift. When this attacks, you may discard a yellow card if you do draw a card and create gold token. So there's, again, a lot of functional just discard. Plus the gold token. So yeah, maybe Gravy does step away from so many allies. Thieving Varmints. When this attacks, you may remove a gold counter from Treasure Island. If you do, and you're a thief, create a gold token. So again, Treasure Island soul play. Charter Course. First attack gets +3. Second attack and your third attack gets +3. So the blue one is what we zero in on, right? So even though you may put a gold counter on Treasure Island, the blue, it potentially goes into a third attack, which you can set up, interestingly. Pirate, I feel like this could have some interesting play with like Ninja, this type of effect. But yeah, the fact that the stat value is spread out through the different pitfalls makes it a little bit better. But again, the 2 block. Mutiny on the Battalion Rock. Yeah, no, did not do French. For each hero that controls more gold than you, steal a gold token they control. And then if you gain control of 1 or more gold tokens, your next attack this turn gets +2. So nice yoink effects, right? Again, it just gave it 3 block. Have wider use. Mutiny on the Nimbus and Mutiny on the Swiftwater, right? I'm not interesting. I'm curious why they didn't do the 3 boats, right? Like when I looked at these 3, for instance, first thought was, Gravy, weirdly Marlin, sorry, weirdly puffin Marlin. But then, closer look, this isn't quite what Marlin's boat is, right? When you look at Hero, you can't really see it here, but it's got the same sort of point, but obviously it's a lot more techy, and it's, a balloon boat anyway. So I'm kind of curious why they didn't go with the triplets of art for it. On a side note, where were we? Alright, the Muni. So, same sort of effects, steal gold, then if you steal one or more, gets +2, overpower, or the next attack gets go again. We always zero in on the extenders because they're the cards that can do some decent damage, right? Now, a whole bunch of cold foil commons. So my hope when I saw the pre-release kits was, cool, they're stepping away from just a whole bunch of draft crap, right, in terms of equipment. Yeah, no. I mean, is it 1, 2, 3, 4? It's the usual 3 sets of 4, which I hate. That started in Dusk Till Dawn, right, where we had the generic Shadow and Light, and then they've just run with it ever since. It makes limited fun, sure. I don't need cold foils of them, right? I literally have a whole box of just this level of cold foil cards. And, pulling a cold foil used to be super exciting. Bandana of the Blue Beyond. Discard a card, destroy this, put a blue card from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck. Look at the top card of your deck when this defends. Gain a resource, activate only if you draw a card. Tap your hero to gain a resource. Destroy this, next attack gets +2. Activate this only if you played Nimblism. That's kind of fun, though, the interaction. Okay, the Thief ones are nice, because obviously we have a Thief hero, right? When this defends, if you're a Thief, steal a gold token, the attacking hero controls. But again, why make it generic? I guess at some point we get a Thief, but if we get another Thief, I assume it's not going to be gold-based, since gold is the pirate thing. So if we get another Thief, I assume it's just items, or something else, right? Whatever's thematic to that current set. So, chances are this doesn't actually do anything more for Thief. So, yeah. Generally speaking, these are just for draft and for limited. Quartermaster Boots, destroy this, next non-attack action card you play this turn gets go again. So, worse Mage Master, except you get to block with it. But if you block with it, you don't get the effect. Quick Clicks, destroy this, your next attack this turn gets go again. Activate this only if you've played a Nimblism this turn. So, to me, the gripe that I have is it feels like they could just reuse old cards, give it updated art or thematic art, and call it a day. But by doing completely new cards, then they go, well, it's equipment, so it's cold foil. Cold foil makes up again the awful amounts of commons in the treasure pack, right? Because you have all the pirate commons, plus now you have all the generic equipment. Sealex, when it's discarded, create a Gold Kiss Rum. So, nice little brute deck, since, you don't care about tapping a hero, right? And then it's just a free go again. Plus, it's another yellow 6, so that's nice in itself. Midas Touch, destroy target ally. Its controller creates gold tokens equal to its cost. So, Midas Touch definitely can see play, right? Because you can use it against your figments, your angels. Dragon's Return, you can use against dragons. You can snipe a Polly. You could snipe a Sellsword if you really wanted. There's the Shadow Allies as well, right? So the only scenario where this backfires is the set it's in, where you target Gravies and he gets a stockpile of gold for doing so. So yeah, Thief is... They haven't said if it's a class. Given how the interaction works with all the Thief cards, it's not. Yeah, barely. Barely is the correct word, right? So it's similar to Royal, where you have it and it adds something, depending on the card you use, right? So maybe. Yeah, they didn't clarify it. But yeah. What was the... When they said about the classes? Like strategy, blah, blah, blah. New Dual Class Heroes. Great new cool. Yeah, so they didn't really hint at it or allude anywhere, so I don't think so. I do find this swashbuckling, and then they didn't give Gravy his goddamn saber. But yeah, so it acts more as just a keyword in a sense, right? So get these extra triggers on certain cards. It looks fun for limited, but it feels like they could have also done a lot more with him. Are we up to the amulets? Yeah, okay. So yeah, it's exactly like Royal, right? trying to think. Yeah, all the cards are, if your hero is royal, instead do this. Just as the thief cards are, if you're a thief, do this. Right? Yeah. The amulets. I'm not too ecstatic about the art, right? The big crux to me with the art is if I do this and we zoom out, right? They just look like the same thing in different colors. They don't stand out as different cards to me. So I don't know, fancier background, especially the Marvels. But yeah, that's my thought. You might like them. You might find them pretty. Right? I get that it's meant to be on a bust, but they're lost treasures too. Essentially, why didn't they do it? Found in a wreckage, found it on the bottom of the ocean floor. Instead, it's just hanging. Like the amulets themselves are beautiful, especially like the opal one. Beautiful. It's just the background and the framing to me, not good. Very, very plain, as opposed to all the other artwork in the set. Right? This is a common, and it looks so much nicer, so much more dynamic. But again, we go the other way. I zoom in on the opal amulet, right? Wherever it went, because Talishare matched, right? And that's beautiful detail. Even the effects, right? I don't mind them so much. It's them on the mannequin behind them that just takes it out for me, right? Especially because I assume it's meant to be like a marble statue. It's meant to be, the exquisite. Yeah, I can't say that word. Design, right? But yeah. No, unfortunately. Do I still have the... I think I can find them. They called amulets? Could all be amulets. Yeah, so ruby amulet. Right? Just meh to me. Like this could be so much bigger, considering this is meant to be the focus. So all the amulets are just an extra copy of potions, right? The only special interaction they have is Gravy Bones can play them from the graveyard, right? So one for one, just think about what potions C play, right? So Ruby Amulet's just an extra energy potion for Kano. Else. Oh, I'm going up. I should be going down. So Strength Potion. Time Snap it. Time. Yeah, Time Snap. This one's new because it's tap, right? But in this case, although it's functionally really nice against Gravy, doesn't seem like you're going to take it. 500 AUD. I think the current offer's like 300. They should climb, but everyone thought so would the serialized cards from Dusk Till Dawn, and then yeah, no one gave a shit because no one, I don't think, really liked the chain ones, right? And then also they were just impossible to find. And these are going to be really difficult to find, right? At 250,000 booster displays printed, right? If that's the print run, then they're roughly 1 in 300 packs to find one, right? Opt, Clarity, Untap, also new. Kind of useful, potentially, with what gets printed in the future. Target defending cards gets +1. Iron Song, Iron Steel. I should know my potions because I used to just play all of them in Melody. Life, Energy, the Intellect one though. Definitely, that's the curiosity, right? Because +1 Intellect, especially as Gravy Bones, where this does get go again and you can use it straight away. Like this might be good. Too bad it doesn't have this art. This art on this card, beautiful. But yeah, they are what they are. Platinum looks interesting with quick dodge. Oh, target depending card gets +1 until the end of turn. Yeah, something you can block multiply with. That's actually an interesting combo. And I would assume Quick Dodge gets played in Gravy, right? As a big defensive card. Maybe Gravy does like some of these. Especially like the untap. But yeah, everything else. Again, all I want from items is some sort of mechanic that's you can't activate the turn it's played, but it has go again. Right? For everyone else. And then we have Crank for Mech. But yeah. There's nothing wrong with the cards and the design, right? Again, some of the potions they play. I just wish the art was a bit more impactful. Again, with the Marvel. Like, why is the bust so big? Just make the amulet go from top to bottom. Don't need the necklace. Just the amulet and the pattern. Which, actually, I think it's Arachne. Because they have done tweaks to the art. Do you have no A? Rack. You know what? I'm just going to do Assassin since. Also, so much easier on Fabry. I think it's Marionette. Right, so that's normal. Like that. Where it actually has, something else on the flip side. Which I assume these are all flip side as well. Just the database isn't updated. Yes, as much as I hate Rosetta's sigils, at least they're different. And again, more focused on the sigil. I mean, that's so cool. He gets the chaos eyes and the webs. Because that's the point of having the extra space, is they can do more. But cool. I can see the lower half of the bust torso now. Yay, marble boobies. Yeah, no. Anyway, where were we? Crush down the gates. When the stacks hero, reveal the top card of the deck. If it has greater than the revealed card, this gets +2. Wait, what? When stacks hero, they reveal the top card of their deck. If this has greater, this gets +2. Does Brute really like that? 3 for 8 though. That's kind of bad. I think there'll be single-sided marvels. Well, that's just sad. We're at the point where, again, everyone's sleeves, so make use of it. They should be very expensive. But see, that's the thing. $500 is less than what they probably should be. Like, things drop off so quickly in Fab, regardless of rarity, because it is such a opinionated market, right? So, for instance, you can have go with One Piece, right? A proper, serialized version of the top chase card does crazy numbers because, again, it's valued for its scarcity. These won't be valued for their scarcity. But they will still be expensive. In whatever metric you hold that to. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. When it stacks, you may banish a nimbleism from your graveyard. If you do, this gets +1 and go again. And then when this hits, a hero steal an item. So, yeah, so I like how there's these every now rare cards that actually shine through, and they just go screw the draft stat lines, right? We'll make them proper. Well, the Majestic version should be short printed, right? Although that still means High Seas has more Majestics than the Hunted, for reference. But yeah, at one of. They are meant to be a collector's card, it's just, God. Like the murals. So, have you ever seen, people frame like all the dragons? Or all the angels? Beautiful. They frame the amulets, again, like, this is such the easiest way to do it, right? We zoom out, they don't look. The fact that you zero in on the bust is the big thing to me, right? They just look like gradient swapped pictures, essentially. They don't have any real difference. So framing them to me just look like arse. Did we actually read them? So both of them are ditch and nimbleism to gain +1 and go again, right? And then steal an item or untap an ally they control, then steal it until the end of the action phase, right? So yeah, both of those effects can really, really grow with time. Again, it's the whole premise where I wish all the steal gold cards would just steal an item, even if they have the draft stat line, because then at least they're just widely more applicable. Although I suppose if there's a bunch of steel items, you're just yoinking Puffin's Cogs, and then Puffin gets really sad because they just get bullied in limited. I guess that's the reason. Money of Your Life. When this hits hero, this card I actually really like. When this hits hero, deal 2 damage to them unless they give you a gold token they control. So if they don't have gold, it's just a 3 for 8, right? But then if you're a thief, it's a 3 for 10, which definitely seems nice, especially because with all the go again extenders. So this comes out of nowhere as the last card in an already long sequence, right? So, Scurv, I want to say Scurvy, with like the Nimbleism package, all these big cards that, again, you normally wouldn't think should be chained together, and then the Gold Kiss ROM, does actually seem like really, really interesting to play. Flying High, same sort of thing. Next attack gets go again, and then match the color, get a +1. So, yeah, also really nice. And just a little behind because of the value, but its effect is super strong. So I forgive. I forgive the 2 block. Clamp him in iron. Clamp him in irons. Go again. When this enters the arena, tap target pirate hero ally, which sucks. I don't know why they didn't just leave that open-ended as well. And then at the side turn, destroy this. Right. So this has a shutdown for future allies. Could have been nice. Could have been interesting. But well, I suppose just pirate interaction. Regain composure. Next attack this turn gets +1, and when this hits, untap your hero. Get a card that should see a bit more utility as we continue with tapping and untapping. Tap target hero to untap another hero. Fun for UPF, right? Especially with Smash Palace. And because all those heroes are updated to be tapping from memory. Fiddler's Green. When this point to your graveyard, gain +3, +2, and +1. So they're all in par with, a 4 block, right? 4, 3, 2. So it's nice. You don't have to block with it to gain the +3. So this sort of value card as a pitchable for, say, Gravy Bones, potentially, right? Where it's your discard, it's a plus health, right? But, he's already sore and block, so maybe not. Blow for blow. When it's played, if you have less life than opposing hero, it gets go again. And when this hits, deal 1 damage to any target. So a 2 cost 5. No. Like, I don't get... This feels like it should have just been the inverse of Scar. No, but it's still less. Where's the... If you have less than opposing hero, if you have less than opposing hero. No, yeah, so it's just Scar for a Scar with the extra 1 damage to finish off an ally. I don't think you pay the 2 for that, right? Why is this not 5? Out of curiosity. That feels like a error. This is a 4 because of the life. I guess they're valuing that. But curious. Ravenous Rabble. Weird they stuck the red in. I guess Gurv needs all the aggro cards. More so than anyone else, right? Ravenous Rabble, when this attacks, reveal the top card of your deck. This gets plus or minus X, where X is the pitch value of the card. So in this, it's probably a 0-3 go again, right? Yellow seems middle ground. But, you're also going to be fairly blue heavy. Nimby, when this attacks, you may search your deck for Nimbleism, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle. Does not have go again like Blittle. So, a bit better. But, yeah. Find a Nimbleism, find a pitchable. It's always going to be up for shenanigans. But, yeah, the Nimbleism play is definitely interesting. Rally the Coast Guard instead of Rear Guard. So, same thing, up 1 cost and up 1 block value. No, equivalent block value. Yeah, both are 2 and then +3. So it's just up the cost, right? So I guess because we're, again, more in yellow and blue, you want the higher cost cards, right? So it's a nice, hefty attack. Will do things in limited. Not so much outside of that. Maybe Gravy Bones does like it more than Rally the Rear Guard, right? As a defensive discard. Sirens of Safe Harbor. When this is put into your graveyard from anywhere, gain a life, right? So Nice stat line. Potentially an okay popper with the life gain. Right? Strike gold when this hits, create a gold token. 0-4, no go again, but create a gold token. On hit, again, just more filler. Trade in filler. Walk the plank. When this hits a pirate hero, tap them or an ally they control. Again, it feels like they could have just kept it open-ended. Again, it has the fallback of the stat line, right? Symbolism. And then on the horizon, when this defends, look at the top card of your deck. That's it. Just nice block value, right? And set things up. Ranger will like it, I feel, right? Gold gets rum, now crack bubble. Does not come in shiny, unfortunately. Codex of Frailty, though, does. I forget we have to double click. We can do it this way, actually. So this is another piece of art that I go. So all three are by the same artist, right? But I don't know. There's just something about this that feels flat to me. Like that's gorgeous. Maybe it's because it's that slightly darker. But this almost feels like these were the options he sent, and this is the one they initially went with, and they just held on to this codex. But still, codex got reprinted. That's the big thing. So hopefully that reigns in the value. Does come in rainbow foil, right? Just obviously not another Marvel variant. And then on to the expand slot. So this is definitely by far the most interesting assortment of expansion cards, to me at least, right? So undercover acquisition, stealth, when this hits, steal an item they control. So that's definitely nice niche, right? 0-3 stealth, so cool. Yeah, that's what it is. It's similar to the amulets, right? When it's the further out it is, all the negative space makes it feel empty. Whereas you have like the really detailed drawings on the Marvel. Yeah, I think you just summed up what I was thinking. So yeah, just a nice stealth card with interesting interaction. So a bit unfortunate to have certain items stolen though. I mean, they're already getting through my deck as mech, right? Doubling down on milling. Now they yoink my item. Bam Bam. When this hits a hero, destroy an item they control. Instant discard this. Your club attack this turn. Yet, when this hits a hero, destroy an item they control. So, Savage Lands? Better clubs? Maybe? Maybe? Maybe. I feel like they're trying to start setting up stuff for, Mandible Claw going. Although, he's slowed down, hasn't he, KO? Although, next year he hits the multiplier, right? Yeah, he has slowed down. This card hurts my eyes. This is the amount of text I don't want in Fab, right? Like this is close, but it's that one extra line because of the go again. It would have been nice to have go again on the claw, maybe 2 OB. Yeah, it would have been 2 OB, right? Because it's just if it had go again, it's just a straight better kunai, right? Where you're not destroying it and you're just cindering it back when you use the spell void. So we'll get to that. Surface shaking. Go again. When this enters your arena, create 3 seismic surge tokens. At the beginning of your action phase, destroy this. Then you may pay up to X cards from your hand. Sorry, why did I say pay? You may put X cards from your hand onto the bottom of your deck, where X is the number of seismic surge tokens you control, and then draw cards equal to the number of cards put on the bottom this way. One small movement of an X would have been crazy, right? Because it's up to X cards from your hand. So imagine it was just draw cards equal to X. So you could think your hand and then get more. But Earthball Bounty goes way up with this, right? Earthball Bounty is... I always get Earthball Bounty and then Velda's inbuilt generation confused. Yeah, whenever you draw a card from an effect of an action card, create a seismic touch. So this is create 3, get 3, essentially, for 3. So having those really, really big turns is going to be interesting as Guardian. Plus, I like the artwork. I like the contrast, right, between the set that we see in the expansion slot. Like this. This is gorgeous to me as well. And it's where they've done, a kind of flat background, but it works really well, as opposed to, again, the amulets. Preach Modesty. This enters the arena with a balance counter at the beginning of your action phase. Destroy this unless you remove a balance counter from it. Hero abilities can't create cards, right? And tokens are cards, so hero abilities is a specific thing there. So the hero themselves has to create it. It's not, for instance, play a card that creates Crouching Tiger. It's just a Crouching Tiger from, say, Zen, right? But in the case of, say, Velda, well, they can't create Seismic Surge for a turn. Something like that. So, very, very interesting tech card. 2 blocks are a little rough, but yeah, really nice effect. So, lasts for 2, which is kind of cool. Your turn and then your opponent's turn. But then Velda, benefits from you. So, you're being a ninja, you're going to draw a bunch of cards for each Modesty, shut it down. Although it also doesn't have Go Again. So, that's a little bit awkward as well. Middle ground. Escalate Bloodshed, though. Oof. Whenever a hero draws a card during an action phase, they lose a life. And then at the beginning of each hero's action phase, they draw a card. That's separate to your draw phase, which is obviously the end of turn in Fab, right? So it's an extra card every turn, starting with you, because it's an instant, right? So you play this at the end of your opponent's turn, and you get it back. You do lose the life, but it can definitely escalate. It's probably a little bit too rough, right? Because they benefit from the extra card more first, right? So you play this end of your opponent's turn, or can you instant start of your turn, right, before the action phase starts? But then that's still the same scenario. So, well balanced, but very, very exciting interaction. Yeah, no rune chain counters. There's a lot of stuff that, we forget about. I mean, here's the easiest way. Who creates? Full token. Bow bow. Any of the embodiment stuff. Frostbite, because even creating for you is still them creating it as well. Anything with gold tokens. I mean, it hits Huffin and Marlin for high seas as well. Might tokens for KO. Anyone else? I think that's the main assortment. But it does impact actually a bunch of heroes, which is good. Right? Deny Redemption. When this attacks a hero with more life than you, deal 1 arcane damage to them. This damage can't be prevented, and instant discard this heroes can't gain life this turn. So, again, dynamic shutdown to count your blessings. But obviously, count your blessings is gone. It's interesting that they just seem to be giving it all to. Well, I say all. There's what, 3? Reaping Blade, this, and Poison the Well. Right? So 2 Rune Blade, 1 is generic. But the can't be prevented is what interests me, right? Because you have like a wisp, for instance. So thank God it's gone. That would buff that and then not be preventable, right? Until the end of turn, action card effects would deal +1, right? So amping it, channel Millennial Tree. Yeah. Plus Flicker Wisp onto this is, decent chunk of unpreventable damage. Burn Bear, the one we've seen, the exciting one, the popper one, the pitchless one, right? Kind of interested why they made it, pitchless in this sense rather than say the Golden Harpoon, which is this can't be pitched wherever it is. There, right? Card is yellow but can't be pitched, right? So they didn't want it interacting with anything at all. Card can't be pitched. I suppose that means even with cards that say pitch this, can't be pitched, right? But pop up and then just a nice big base amount of damage for you to go to shenanigans, right? So think about it all the time. Kano goes to a ridiculous number because he has to, right? Not because he essentially, well, he probably wants to, but generally speaking, you need the multipliers to do enough damage. So the base starting points is, a direction of that could take over if again it gets to the consistent amount. But yeah, destroy specifically a card with Phantasm. Yeah, the expansion is doing exactly what we want, which is just providing good, useful tech. Riddle with Regrets going in at the beginning of each hero's end phase. they lose X life, where X is the number of auras they controlled when this triggered. Right? If X is 3 or more, destroy this. So it does obviously target itself because it is an aura. But, you play this, and then your opponent set up the previous turn for whatever they're doing. Play this, and you nuke them down. Kind of interesting. Especially in the scenario of the damage from this compounding with whatever you're doing in your turn, because it does have the go again. Yeah, there we go. Has to, not he wants to. So yeah, Riddle with Ret. Definitely interesting. Be a bit more disgusting if it was an instant, right? But it still does its job. Has that go again. Yeah. I can't see any states of Assassin getting to a ridiculous amount. It's Chaos also, so it's only for the 2 new Arachnes, right? But very interesting card. Now, the Klloo. So, once per turn, pay 1 to attack, spell void 1. So, as much as Fang might like this, well, technically, you don't really use the go again trigger on the second Fang, right? You pump the first one, do something in between, and then you just end on the other one. The +1's definitely nice. But yeah, the spell void. So, obviously, it only triggers once in Fang, so that's kind of a negative. This is definitely more in line for Syndra, because Syndra's effect targets any Draconic Dagger, right? So Syndra can return this to herself, which begs the question, is there some level of a non-Dagger build for Arcane, where you take 2 of these, and it's just, you play 3 Draconic cards from hand, you get them back, and you just prevent 2 damage every single turn. It's definitely sideboard, right? Because, even just going down to 1 dagger and still being able to present a decent turn seems decent. And you just a -1 arcane every single turn. You just Syndra back. But yeah, it's very interesting. Very unique design. Obviously, if it had go again, it would just strictly replace Syndra's dagger. If it had go again, it would have to have the same clause where if you attack with this, it gets destroyed. But I definitely see taking 1, right? She's in blue now. Red Lion Syndra relies less on daggers. Relies less on 2 daggers. No? Still, very interesting card. Now, obviously, again, I don't know how updated this is. What's it called? Klloo. But the cold fort doesn't make sense. Right? Yeah. Beach to it slightly because of the delay. So, yeah. In red line, especially with the sense that you're not pitching away anyway, right? Just having 3 prevent 2 every turn and then getting them back. It could definitely be a workable strategy. It's perfect for rune chant damage and chip damage. But cold fire. Where? I'm guessing it's in the gem pack? Potentially? Because the treasure pack, again, there's not enough room for it. And then cold foil's in the actual box. I'm not stated. I mean, it could be sporadically put in there. There's also no other equipment aside from the Klloo in cold foil. I feel like it's either a promo or a gem pack thing. There was the gem pack list floating around. The only one I took note of was Riptide being from gem pack 2. Alright, Everbloom and Life. What it notes. May look wizardy. It is not. This is just Earth. This is applicable to Jarl as well, right? Choose an action card in a graveyard with cost less than the total life you've gained this turn. Put it on the bottom of its owner's deck. Choose an action card with cost less than the total life you've gained this turn. Obviously, again, without Count Your Blessings, this does a lot less, but still return an X or a 0, right? With the gain 1 life side of it. So that's kind of nice. But there are still other ways for you to gain life. So Verdance definitely does stuff. But potentially something usable in Yarn, right? Co-sign to Cosmos. I don't play Wizard enough to understand how this is good. To banish X instant and or aura cards from any graveyard where X is the amount of arcane damage you've dealt this turn. Right? There's no play there that's for you. So it's just about hitting your opponent's cards. but the majority of instant cards can't be cycled back. I'll put a pin in that one. Herald of Second. So, yeah, out the left field of my knowledge, but from what's been explained to me, red, that's a tick down. Putting a card directly from your hand to soul, that's a tick down, right? So that's already 2 against it. And just a 2 for 7's okay. The Arcane Ping is definitely nice, but the fact that, again, yes, you get the guaranteed soul card, but at the same time, it means you're putting 1 extra card into this versus, but if it hits, it gets put to soul rather than an extra card from your hand. So I think the understanding is if this was yellow, it would be auto-included, but at red, it's a bit more techie, right? Zero Shock may be good enough. Yeah, that's actually a good point. Just cut this side. Just another way to run Shock. Which it seems like Shock and Life are just always the instant cards, right? Interestingly. Arcane Compliance. I want versions of this card. Right? This in Cold Foil? This in Extended Art? This in a goddamn Marvel. I don't know. It just... I'd take this over all the amulets. Like, this just seems like such a beautiful card. Maybe it's because you've got the heavy blue emphasis, like for the mana and everything, and then the reds and gold shining through. But this looks like a beautiful card. Until the end of turn, effects can't increase arcane damage that target action cards on the stack would deal. Effects can't increase arcane damage that target action cards on the stack would deal. That sentence gives me an aneurysm. So much so I can't even say aneurysm. But obviously, this just is a big FU to Kano. Or Cilio, right? So yeah. They play their card, they make you wait while they think, and then I'm going to do this. Although, obviously, at the very highest level, you get 1 chance, so it's an all or nothing type thing. So it's kind of easy to bait out as well. You really have to know when to play it, but yeah, no. So this artwork is just fascinating me. This is a playmat as well. So the way it works, if you've never been KO'd or I guess to some extent, Basilio. So they play an arcane card, and then the way it's meant to go is you get priority back for an instant, and they get priority back for an instant, right? And then the card resolves and does its damage. So they play one of their spells that is going to deal arcane damage. Then they chime in with another instant that says discard this, amp it. Another card that says amp, blah, 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 right? And this prevents that. What this doesn't do, though, is, for instance, if they use their lightning rod, right, or they do any of their amp effects prior to putting a card on the stack, this doesn't shut it down, right? The card will already gain the amp effects, unless my understanding is wrong, because you're no longer targeting the card on the stack. Although that might be wrong because of the wording. Effects can't increase arcane damage that target action cards on the stack. So now that's actually out of my realm, right? It might just shut down all amp, and amp is basically what we're just thinking about, or it might just shut down cards that, instant. This does something. For instance, I mean, Metacarpus is the case scenario to use, right? So Metacarpus node is whenever you play a card with Infect that deals arcane damage, you may pay 1 resource. Meaning that when you play X spell, right, that hits the stack because it hasn't resolved, right? And then while it's on the stack, this effect triggers, and then you get the option to pay 1. If you were to, as you to your opponent, play the arcane compliance, right, that would then mean that Metacarpus node does nothing. Although in that scenario, your opponent just doesn't pay the cost anyway, right? Hopefully that makes sense. Wizard is highly confusing. And the one time I dabbled in Kano numbers. Yeah. Actually, I wonder if that's updated. We'll take a look afterwards to see if it is. Anchor Dragunda. Anchor Dragunda. God. Power level could be fairly different, right? Yeah. If amp resolves once the card is on the stack, which I guess kind of makes sense, then it should shut it down? No, because the amp is now floating. No, but it's effects. It's not cards. Yeah, no, that's for the notes. Okay. So Anchor Drag Under. Uh, if they didn't have such cool artwork, I'd be bummed out by the naming conventions. So it costs 2. It's a 5 with 3, and it's an action. Pay 1, tap attack. None of that matters. All that this card really does is act as a -1 intellect to your opponent. Right. So discard a card with Watery Grave. Next time an opponent draws 1 or more cards, this turn they discard a card. Right. Seems really, really strong. This feels like, especially with the artwork, because I think a lot of people will dig Killer Whale Man, right? This just seems really good. So, yeah. This is the marble to look out for. Although, Oyston also backs it up. He looks majestic. Action, attack, right? A 0/3. Decent. But he wants to die. When this dies, create a gold token. So he just transitions into gold. So nice filler one as well. Definitely, obviously, better than just the base attack vanilla ones. Yes, these are the 3 from the Armory deck. So all the Marvels in set is 6 heroes, 2 of each, 1 young, 1 old, right? Minus Scurv. He doesn't have a Marvel. The Marvel was the Skirmish Season promo, is the Skirmish Season promo, right? That was being revealed. Then it's just... it's 21 minus 6, so it's 15 allies, right? 15 allies for you to collect 3 of. And it's 12 from the sets and 3 from the Armory deck, right? So you do get copies of these in the Armory deck, which is good, because they obviously seem really strong. Sawbones, Dockhand, action, pay 1, attack, 6, 2 cost, and then instant tap the next time you're a pirate you control would be dealt damage this turn, prevent 1 of that damage, right? So just a nice buffer effect, again, that lingers. Just, in general, if they have a utility effect, to me it seems like they'll be played. It's just better than the vanilla. Although, yeah, there's nothing wrong with the beat stick. So yeah, there we go. That is everything, I believe. Suppose we can look at Gravy Bones. Actually, did I try this? AGB. I don't think I actually tried going to the set, did I? Yeah, no. No new cards. So, how many allies? I would assume... Oh, no, there are allies, right? So there's Anchor, Oyston, and Sawbones. And then a bunch of the lesser ones. But it seems like there's just 6 allies in total. There'll be people who want it. Who want full playsets of every single ally, even though you shouldn't play them all. I mean, you could take up an 80, well, it would be 76 card deck, right? No, 75 because you've got the compass. So it means that sadly there will be trash marbles potentially, right? Some of the allies will be nothing. Some of them will be super expensive. What about Blaze Amp? Hasn't Blaze's ability for the arcane compliance? So even when you're playing a wizard card at instant, right? So it goes on the stack first, and then you can do a bunch of stuff on top. Again, my mind always goes back to Kano, where you put it on the stack, and then you want to set up your cards in a certain order, especially with a card like Kindle, where you want to play it with an empty hand, but then you also want a target for it, so to speak. Actually, Kindle's the good scenario, because Kindle, the amp doesn't resolve until... No, I'm gonna wait for release notes before we dive into arcane compliance. It should be good. It should do what it's meant to do. Time snaps. Interesting. I guess they didn't want to give him a free copy of the amulet. Oh. Does it say the number of copies anywhere? Because there's a lot of cards in here that will be good. Call the Graves is a big one. I believe there's only 1 copy though. Back alley break line. Is there any way to target this? I suppose all the destroy the top card of your deck puts it face up somewhere, so it gains you an action point. That's something. Aside from that, so let's see. Rule price, have you been updated at all, or is there a new article? I would assume not, although go to the rules and policies. Yes. Okay. I would assume there's still, yeah, that's unfortunate. There's still question marks. So it hasn't been filled out yet. Although the amulets are here. So maybe compliance is actually. Yeah, no. None of the expansion slot cards have been explained yet, unfortunately. I don't think anything else was too confusing. Right? Yeah. And then same for the Raw Prize. The only update to it was the Scurvy stuff. I think that's everything. Yeah, no, I think we're fine. I don't think we missed anything. Remember for the armor, except I'd assume the gloves. Washed up wave, because that features in the set. So that Cold War should be in the treasure pack. So, well, I suppose it could still be in rainbow foil. I think that's everything. Yes. Well, I assume Fabry just pulls from the Fab database, and the Fab database isn't updated yet. Because, for instance, the cards, if you're trying, the cards are here. Right? So, for instance, if we go to High Seas, High Seas itself doesn't work. It shows 265, but the cards aren't actually up yet. Some of them are. They seem to be trickling in. But you can search by the set code and find them all. Which we did try for the Armory Day. So, equipment-wise, problem is the chess piece, which is discard and gain its pitch, just obviously does not compare whatsoever to Dread Threads, so kind of useless, unfortunately. The gloves get replaced straight away, unfortunate. But then again, they're just common anyway. So that leaves the head and the boots. The boots are actually really interesting, right? Because the go again seems nice, but then you suffer the unfortunate case of destroying your ally. Which there's some cases where that's fine. Let's actually, let's do that. Let's see what equipment compares. Everybody gets in here. So I kind of like Mage Master because it's an extra playable. But in the head slots, I also kind of like Crown, although most likely you're taking something like Balance of Justice or Crown of Providence. The chest is good, it just gets shat on by the value that Dread Threads offers, unfortunately. What's Headstone? Destroy top card of your deck, plus the Battle Worn. Is that better version? Most defends, you may discard a card if you do draw a card. No, that's cycles. Yeah, maybe the headpiece does seem a little bit of play. I feel like if it was 2-block, it would definitely see play. That's the only reason why Crown of Providence or Balance of Justice might be a bit better. I'm surprised they didn't give him... The other option they could have really done with the chess piece is if they gave it AB, then at least it's the contender, right? And you do take it, potentially. Although, again, the value from Dread Threads. Like, this is the 12 petals level of resource generation, potentially. If not more consistent, too, than 12 petals. But this is Battle 1, unfortunately. Arms, Goldbait hooks up, leaves the legs. So, target pirate ally gets go again versus what? It's probably, no, honestly, just quick dodge for the extra block. So, yeah, it's nice, but it just gets outcompeted fairly quickly, unfortunately. But it does seem like it will be good out of the box. The CC mark does annoy me, though. Since for some of the cards you get 3 copies, you get Rainbow Foil, you get CC marked, and you get no mark. Surprised that doesn't have art. Am I on syntax mode or something? I don't think so. Maybe I am. That's a bit better. There's still some cards that aren't. Alas, I think that does us. I don't think there's anything else. Other than, I suppose, playing around with numbers for the... Because that is not up. That is what I'm most interested in. So the volume of cards I've added to the pool, both majestic and rarity-wise for the treasure pack, means that this is another step backwards in terms of pulling things. Like, for instance, the treasure pack. Only card sets, what was it, 81? Without the puzzle stuff. It's this. This is a big, big problem to me. Versus the Cold Balls in a box, so Hunted was 30-something. Right, so it's almost 3 times that, and the high end isn't really changed that much. And then it also seems like the Marvel allies are going to be hard to pull. Not as easy as, say, the dragons. So, a bit unfortunate. They're trying to, I guess, force the general consumer to match whales, in a sense, right? Where you're not buying loose packs to a box, you're buying a box to a case instead. Which is definitely a bit rough, considering, prices are going up. At the very least, because of high seas being, A, short printed, and, the tariff stuff at the moment, it's equating its price. Which is also a weird thing to obviously gripe about, because it being on par with what they recommended it should be okay. But it feels like a bummer, because obviously this is the first time a set has really held to that. At least the new play mechanics look really, really good. It's another case where, again, the collector side is cool. What they're trying to do is okay. Sometimes it works, sometimes it misses, but the play side of things continues to just be phenomenal, right? Same with the majority of art, right? So yeah, I'm excited for ICs. Hopefully everyone else is. Hopefully none of my orders get cancelled. Well, no more of my orders get cancelled. Anyway, leave it there. Hope you enjoyed. Anyone hang around, watch and post. Thanks always. But yeah.